Welcome back, fellow fans of Clash of Clans. It is your host, Galadon, and of course, if it's your first time here, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, make the like button happy by gently depressing it, and everyone, use code Galadon and make sure you renew it every 7 days. Alright, let's talk about this strange occurrence of Galadon on the global and US leaderboards. Suddenly, what is going on? I thought I would explain just a little bit because some people have noticed that Galadon's name is showing up there. And of course, the first and most obvious explanation for this is, well, I gemmed Town Hall 13 to max, and I have a maxed out army and maxed out defenses. So obviously there's that, okay? It is a huge advantage to be this maxed out at the early stages of any new Town Hall update. So we have a huge advantage. But in addition to that, we also have an army that is extremely strong, and the Royal Warden, Royal Warrior, the Royal Princess, the Royal Champion, that's it. I can never get that name right. I can't get her. Royal Champion is practically broken, okay? If you use her right, she is so flipping strong. It's amazing. So yes, the Yeti, it is an amazing troop. The Royal Champion, it is an amazing hero. Any coincidence that these are both brand new things to the game and perhaps the two strongest additions to Clash of Clans? Well, okay, here's the thing. And I realize that this is not the first time this has happened. Think back, if you've played Clash for a while, think back to Hog Riders, think back to Witches, even think back to Bowlers. When each of those troops were first introduced to Clash of Clans, they absolutely demolished everything in their path. I mean, actually, much to the credit of the Clash of Clans team, the Yeti isn't so powerful this time that you can just use an all Yeti army and 3-star every base. That's pretty much what it was like back in the old days when new troops were brought in. Oftentimes they were so strong that they just overwhelmed every base, and the game really, it just wasn't the same until they brought in a balancing. So is that going to happen this time? I would say I'm leaning towards the likelihood that they probably will have to do something like that. Remember the old saying, if Galadon can 3, the strat's OP, but also remember, if you look at these villages, these are far from maxed out 13s. Yes, they have the new Town Hall. Yes, they often have the scatter shots, but that's about it. You'll notice many of the other defenses are not upgraded, like the Expos, like the Wizard Towers. So it's going to be tougher for a base like that to defend. Honestly, just the few extra hero levels and the Royal Champion on offense make a huge difference right now in this game. So again, I think that we might see a balancing at some point in the future. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean that they will directly nerf the Yeti, directly nerf the Royal Champion. They could always boost defense a little bit. Maybe they'll eventually bring in that new level of Archer Tower or change some other defensive numbers, but it just feels right now like the Yeti is extremely strong, and the Yeti Mites, they're strong as well, but they're just a blast. They are so much fun to watch, just barely grab a Town Hall or finish a 3-star. So I would hate to see them nerfed too severely, just because they are one of the most fun troops to come to the game in a long, long time. But let's look back to whenever the Clash team introduces a new troop into the game. They really have two choices. Make it a little bit too strong or make it a little bit too weak, because the chances that it's going to come into the game balanced just right is really unlikely, okay? Because remember, there are millions and tens and hundreds of millions of battles taking place all the time in the live game, and they can only run so many simulations, and that doesn't really account for human ingenuity and exactly how it is going to be played in the live game. So they can work on the AI and that sort of thing, but until real human beings get their hands on these new levels and start attacking and defending, and the meta shifts and changes, the Clash team can't tell how strong a troop is going to be. So the choice is, let's make it a little bit too strong, let's make it a little bit too weak. We can look at those two possible outcomes. If it's too weak, then players complain, nobody likes it, word travels fast, whether through social media or within clans, and suddenly you have a new troop that, well, honestly, nobody really cares about. And what happens then? Well, players don't play harder to try to get there, to try to farm the levels of the troop, and they don't gem to get there. Because obviously, both of these acts are going to benefit the game itself. Player activity is good overall, and gemming, of course, is good for revenue. So the other option is they bring in the troop and it's a little bit too strong. And then what happens? Everybody hears about how OP this troop is, and everybody wants it. Everybody tries extra hard. Maybe they're rage gemming it, maybe they're farming constantly, playing much more because they really want that brand new level 3 Yeti or that maxed out level 20 Royal Champion. And that is a much better outcome overall. Now the problem is, it can feel like a bait and switch at some point, because if there is indeed a balancing that brings these units back to earth a little bit, then somebody could say, oh, you know, Supercell, you did this to us on purpose. You knew this was going to happen. You just wanted us to gem it. And I guess, you know, you're welcome to feel that way about it. That's not the opinion I have, because I can see the argument, and I've talked to the Clash team myself, and I realize how much of a disaster it would be to bring in a new troop that nobody likes. I mean, that would be a waste. All the programming hours and all the marketing and all the everything else to bring in this big new addition to the game, and everybody thinks it's crap and nobody cares about it. That would be a mistake, okay? So I think that, honestly, if I had to pick one for them to err in the side of, I would say Too Strong. Obviously, we'd like it to come out perfectly balanced, but that's almost impossible, let's be honest. There's so many different variables to think about here and to talk about. So, okay, I've yapped enough about this strategy without actually talking about this strategy. So as the next battle starts, I'll show you guys exactly what I am doing with Galadon Yeti Smash. And honestly, it's one of the easiest, most straightforward attacks in the game. But yes, so far this video, you have only seen a maxed out army going against less than maxed out bases. I'll promise you, at the end of this video, the last replay will be the opposite. It will be a less than maxed out attacking army from Galadon 13.0 facing Galadon's main account, my fully maxed out defenses and a brand new base. So we'll see how that works out when slightly non-maxed goes up against fully maxed defenses. But first, let's talk about Galadon Yeti Smash and the way that I do this. It's pretty straightforward. Every single base has a town hall that I'm going to try to funnel around, and it's going to be either with, right here you can see, it's the siege barracks on one side, and then the Yeti and the King on the other. Now this is a little bit of a variance, but the basic idea is, let's just funnel somehow, some way. Let's get a few units on either side, get everybody kind of going down the middle, and then yes, 8 earthquakes, because I freaking love earthquake spells. So much fun. I realized maybe it's not the most efficient thing, maybe 2 jumps and a couple of extra other spells would be better, but it's too much fun. Okay, I love 8 earthquakes, and if you place them right, STAP, spell timing and placement, you make a base like this pretty much just an open book. Look at how almost every compartment is wide open to this attacking force. Also, the funnel, surprisingly for Galadon, was effective, and everybody pours into the core, and it's just a nightmare for any defense at this point. Now, it's up to the Royal Champion to come in from one side or the other. I don't generally send the Royal Champion in right with the attacking force. I usually will send her in off to the side to try to pick up some of the straggling defenses that might be lying around. Maybe there's an Inferno Tower that the main attacking force is heading towards. You can oftentimes get that out of the way, and several other defenses with the Royal Champion. So here, time counting down, the Archer Queen still has her ability. I've saved 1 wizard. I try to save 1 sometimes just in case maybe there's some cleanup troops that are left behind, especially if you think about the Royal Champion. She is like a pack of hog riders all by herself. She will roll in and take out defenses and ignore everything else in the area, so it is especially important to have cleanup troops behind that Royal Champion when you drop her down. Otherwise, you could find yourself with a bunch of free buildings that don't get picked up if you don't manage to overwhelm and 3-star the base. So yes, we overwhelmed this one. Here we go. Easy win. Fast forwarding to the end, but here it comes. Okay, so now I'm going to take Galadon 13.0, my not quite fully maxed out on offense account, and friendly challenge it with Galadon, my main account, and this, I don't know where I got this base. It looks a lot like the base from the first replay in today's video, but it's not quite the same. I think these are honestly like internet bases, or maybe they were from Nova, MCES, Tribe, from the World Championships. I was just copying and pasting links like crazy for a few days back then. So we just kind of squeezed in the Town Hall 13 defenses, went to town here. Now this base, okay, I gotta admit, this base is not ideal for defending against some sort of ground spam like this. Because of the way those walls are laid out, those enclosures, there was absolutely no problem getting all of my units right down the middle of this base and annihilating it. Check out the siege barracks at the top of the screen. I gotta come up with something better for that than the ice golem. The ice golem is pretty much useless as coming out at the end of an attack like this behind everybody else on the siege barracks. It trails behind everybody and honestly is rarely a factor at the end of a battle. The P.E.K.K.A. is gonna help clean up as well, and then you see the royal champion getting her ability right there, taking out 4 defenses and the scatter shot as well, just annihilating the entire top end of this base. And again, it's because of the Royal Champion that we pick up the triple right here. In fact, what happens, I was just talking about cleanup troops behind the Royal Champion. This time it's the P.E.K.K.A. from the Siege Barracks that's annihilating everything at the top of the base. Down at the bottom, it feels a lot like Yeti Smash did in that at the end of an attack, you might be thinking to yourself, oh, there's no way I can 3-star this base. I only have a few units left. But when the case of the few units left is P.E.K.K.A.s, or in this case, Yetis, oh man, you can go a long ways. The Wizard Tower can be a little bit tougher for the Yeti Mites to get down because of the splash. Anything else is going to get annihilated and overwhelmed by the Yeti Mites, and it's another 3-star. So we fast forward, Galadon triples Galadon, and right here, the non-maxed army attacks and destroys the fully maxed out Town Hall 13. So perhaps, if Galadon can 3, the strat's OP. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Thank you as always for sticking around all the way to the end of the episode. You are the true Gala fam, and I love every gosh darn last one of you. So get out there, make the best of the rest of your day, be kind of people, animals, and play. And I'll see you back here again tomorrow for more full attacks.
Galadon, is it true you invented the term pay to win?